I would like to call this meeting to order. Today is Monday, February 26, 2024. This is the regular scheduled monthly meeting for the Oldham County Board of Education. We are at the Arvin Education Center in LaGrange, Kentucky. Welcome, everyone. Sir, do you have any changes to the agenda?
No, ma'am.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda made by Mr. Dodson, seconded by Mrs. Clem? All those in favor? And that's 5-0. At this time, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Gravis, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please, sir?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. All right, first up.
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to invite Mr. Gravis, Director of Personnel, to come forward and share with the board an update on our substitute fill rate.
All right.
And welcome.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Radford invited me to share some good data with you guys. Over the last couple, I guess the last year, 2 years, you know, one of my morning routines was getting up and checking Frontline to see where the hot spots were for sub shortages, and it kind of became second nature of doing that as I was getting out of bed. And then I guess in January I kind of realized that I'd kind of quit doing that and start looking at the data a little bit closer, and realized that we were in a lot better shape than we've had been in the last couple years. And I started by asking the principals, and they noticed as well, obviously, that when they have more subs in the building, less absences, it makes the school day a lot easier, and there's a lot of positives that come from that we'll kind of talk about. So I started pulling the data here, and I know you guys have that, and I hope that works here. So what we have on the first slide is just kind of comparing the data for the last 2 school years. The gray line, or the bottom line, is the 22-23 school year, beginning with August, and the top, or the gold line, is the this current school year. And as you can see, where last school year we were at a high of a 74% fill rate in January of 23, this year we've been consistently at or above 80%, more or less. The February data that you see here, the 79%, just to make sure I got this in on time for the presentation and for you all to have, that last data ended on Thursday, the 15th of February. Continuing that out today, that our fill rate for February is at exactly 80%. So we are seeing tremendous improvement over our sub issues that we have, you know, really since the pandemic. Looking at the next slide there, kind of digging deeper, you know, the fill rate is great, but what matters is how many unfilled absences we have at our schools. The gray, again, is the previous school year, 22-23, and the gold is the current school year. And you can see where we're averaging far fewer unfilled absences per month than we were in corresponding months of last school year. And looking again, the data on the chart that you guys see right now is only through February 15th, but pulling out through today, our unfilled rate for February of 2024 is at 18. So it has improved, you know, tremendously just over the last week. So we're seeing a lot of good things. You know, I had some thoughts on what the causes or what the reasons behind some of what the improvement was, but I wanted to get this, you know, directly from subs. And as subs noted on my survey, it was not scientific. I am not a statistician, so I apologize for it not being probably better built survey, but just found this and it was pretty easy, and I just wanted to get subs information or feedback pretty quickly. So asking our substitutes, you know, just general questions. Has your experience with substitute teaching been a positive one? We had 81 people complete the survey out of around 200 something substitutes, so a little bit less than 50%, but still, you know, good data. 80 of the 81 surveyed said yes, they had a positive experience as a substitute in Oldham County. Please rate your overall satisfaction as a substitute teacher. You know, 47% gave it a 5, which was excellent. 45.7% gave it a 4, and then 3%, 7.4 or 6 of the 81 kind of ranked it in the middle, with no one saying poor or, at a 2, just above poor. Do you feel that you've received adequate support to do your job as a substitute teacher? 78% said yes, or 78 said yes, 96% said yes. Have you felt valued as a substitute teacher in the district? 75 of the 81 that completed the survey said yes, which is 92.6%. All right. And would you recommend becoming a substitute teacher for Oldham County Schools to others? 94% said yes. Now, to what factors are influencing substitutes to be, our increase in substitutes and our increase in fill rate. Some of the things were increase in substitute pay. Around 62% said the increase in pay that you guys voted at the beginning of the year was a contributing factor. 40% said they liked the bonus, the working 10 days in a month, where we give them $100 a month if they work 10 days within a month as a substitute. The culture and climate of Oldham County Schools was 56%, 57%. Support received from teachers received 59%. Support received from administrators, 55.6%. In the survey, too, also gave them the opportunity to give feedback, give them the opportunity to write. The majority of the feedback was very positive. And some of the feedback that's constructive are things we're already working on that we can definitely improve upon. A lot of it was misunderstanding. There was some misunderstanding about how long-term pay for subs was calculated, or the 10 days. So working on getting that communication out. I've already sent information to the office managers to make sure they're aware to notify subs of some of this information as well. Training on technology was a big one, and I've talked with the technology department about how we can maybe do some substitute training in our, the different technologies that we offer at the schools, to give them that opportunity to learn some of the technology to make them feel more equipped when they're subbing in the classrooms. Some shared concerns with student discipline, and others talked about some schools being more inviting than others. We've shared specific feedback with the principals last week at administrative staff, so they kind of knew. We blocked out like any personally identifiable information to like the schools or the substitute. I have no access. The survey was completely anonymous. I can't even say it right now. Anonymous. So I don't know who completed. I have no way of knowing who completed what on the survey. So their information is very secure and safe. We're going to keep working. We're going to try to do some more in-person substitute orientation, give them a voice to try to come in and voice concerns as well. So there's a lot of things that we're kind of taking from this, but I think a big takeaway is, first off, for our substitutes for showing up day in and day out and really helping with the education of our students, thanking the board for your all's vote to increase the pay, to our principals for all the hard work they do in creating a culture where substitutes feel supported and welcomed and safe. And so I think there's a lot of things, a lot of congratulations go around to making this year better than it has in years past.
Awesome. Board members, questions? Rich, I really appreciate the numbers, and I also really appreciate the proactiveness of getting this stuff together, looking at the concerns and quickly addressing what can be, as we like to refer to it, the low-hanging fruit, picking that and correcting those issues, and I appreciate the proactiveness of it.
Thank you. Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Gravis. Appreciate the report. Next, I'd like to invite Dr. Smith to come forward, and he's going to share with the board an update about the impact survey.
All right, good afternoon.
Welcome, Dr. Smith.
Thank you. So everyone received in your board packet some slides that are going to talk a little bit about the impact survey that came to us from the Kentucky Department of Education. Some overview statistics. When KDE put out the invitation for teachers to participate, 39,410 educators across the Commonwealth participated in the fall of this year. The survey opened in November and closed December 15th, so November 1st to December 15th. And teachers were given access codes so that we could also see some demographic data about the teachers who took the survey. So if you're on the Impact, the KY Impact website, you can click into individual questions and see teachers with more than 10 years of experience and how they answered specific questions. What I wanted to do in highlighting a few areas in our survey was to make a connection between our strategic plan and the pillar work that we're doing, specifically in the employee experience area, and then what teachers were telling us about their experience this year. So this purpose page was just a little bit about this being a working conditions survey and that it's given every 2 years. We'll see 3 different survey data points so we can compare our growth over 3 years. In the first goal area under employee experience, we say our goal is for employees to feel valued as professionals and have a voice that contributes to a culture of collaboration. So when you're looking here at our staff leadership relationships, this was one of the areas that we saw really strong growth from 1920, so this is the fall before the COVID pandemic began, right coming out of the pandemic in 21, 22, and then where we are right now in 23, 24. You can see that we have reached a place where 84% of our teachers that participated in this survey had a positive feeling about the staff leadership relationships in their buildings. I specifically pulled out areas where we could compare our district's experience to the national norms. So here you can see a bell curve that's showing our district's overall performance. So you can see it says our result was 84%, gave us a positive rating. When you combine elementary, middle, and high school together, we're in the 80th percentile. That would put us well above. The 50th would be average. 80th would be well above. But I wanted to highlight, especially at middle school and high school, we had teachers that reported to KDE that our leaders in middle schools and high schools were in the 90th percentile. So just a huge shout out to our leaders in elementary, middle, and high school to just hear from teachers that the relationships that they have built with the staff in their schools are extremely positive, and I wanted to draw our attention to that. I also grabbed some of the questions so that we could see specific places where we had seen a lot of growth. As you read through these questions, and I don't want to belabor this by reading every question to you, but some of the things that you hear teachers responding to are things like, school leaders have my best interests in mind, or trust between the faculty and the school leaders is high, or how supportive is your school leader, and we saw a 10-point jump from the last survey to this survey to say that 82% felt that we were doing a really good job in building trust and creating a supportive working environment. So these are all just really positive things that I wanted to draw our attentions to. Do you have any questions for me, or would you like me to go through each and then save questions for the end? Do you have section by section questions, or do you want me to wait till the end?
No, we can wait till the end, but Dylan, just so I can be sure. So this is a KDE survey. This is not an Oldham County School survey.
Correct. We did not do this ourselves.
So this is the data that we received from KDE.
Yes.
Not manipulated for any purposes for us.
That is exactly right. The way that this survey was structured is that KDE created a contract with the company that gathers all the data. Our district DAC was the coordinator of the survey. We gave out access codes to teachers. Teachers put in that code, it went straight to KDE, they compiled it, and then they gave us access to it right around the time when it came out to the public, which was the beginning of February. And so on that website, we all logged in to see what it said for the first time like everybody else.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. All right, if we jump next to the employee experience, our second goal in the employee experience is that employees experience a healthy work-life balance. Something that I was thinking about as I looked at the survey data is that I think about how effective principals take the burden off of teachers' shoulders. When schools are run really well and when teachers feel supported, they create a better work-life balance because they feel like they're not bringing all of that with them to and from school. And you can see here, Starting before the pandemic, we were at 61% favorable, right after the pandemic, 60, and then this November, we were at 72% in terms of our leadership relationships, leadership effectiveness. And so if we look at this bell curve, again, you can see that overall as a school district, we're in the 70th percentile overall in our performance. But when you break it out by elementary, middle, and high school, you can see elementary is 70, middle school 80th percentile, and our high schools were at the 90th percentile in teachers' feedback on the effectiveness of their school leaders. Looking at the questions, one that jumped out to me was just, we had a 15-point jump in the second question down, where the question said, for your school leaders, how important is teacher satisfaction? That's something we focused really, really carefully on, and teachers responded by telling us 78% said they consider that really, really important. If we continue forward, we'll next reach school climate. And here you can see school climate before the pandemic, 68, after the pandemic, 58, and then we just edged out our pre-pandemic number to be at 69% positive. And then overall, you can see this is our bell curve. As a school system, we're in the 70th percentile, elementary 60, middle is 80th, and high school's 90th percentile in terms of our school climate. One of the questions that stood out to me here was the last question on this page, which said, overall, how positive is the working environment at your school? And that jumped for us 21 points, where 75% of our teachers told us it was a positive working environment and responded favorably to that question, which I really appreciated seeing. Our next pillar goal is that employees access high-quality professional learning and training with clear pathways to grow and advance within the organization. So overall, pre-pandemic, we were at 61. We dropped to 56 right after the pandemic, and then jumped back up to 64% in professional learning. And here again, you can see our overall, when you compare us to the rest of the country, as a district, we're in the 80th percentile for our professional learning opportunities. Elementary school's 80th, and both middle and high school are in the 90th percentile. One of the questions that stood out to me here was at the very bottom. Overall, how supportive has your school been of your growth as a teacher? We saw a 12-point jump and had 84% of our teachers say that we have responded favorably to that question, which I thought was a really nice thing to see. And then our final category in employee experience, our final goal is employees have the resources and support to do what's best for all students. So when we looked at this, we invest a good deal of time and energy into coaching and supporting teachers, especially our newest teachers. Before the pandemic, we were at 52%, right after COVID, 48%, and then this fall, teachers responded 57% favorably to feedback and coaching. Comparing that to the rest of the country, you can see in elementary and middle school, we're in the 80th percentile. Our high schools are in the 90th percentile in coaching and feedback, which is a huge shout out to our coaches and the work that they're doing to support high school teachers in each of our buildings. One of the questions that stood out to me overall here was, how useful do you find the feedback you receive on your teaching? Because coaching is one thing, but if the feedback doesn't feel useful, it's not very effective. And we had an 8-point jump and had 70% of our teachers say that the feedback they receive is valuable, which I really appreciated. I'm going to pause right there because I've gone through each of those different areas. Do you have any questions for me on the impact survey or what we're doing next?
Board members?
Dr. Smith,
Yes.
is it just teachers that got this survey,
Yes.
or is it all staff?
It was sent specifically to teachers, so
Okay.
certificated staff.
And it's the same population that it was given to in years past?
Yep,
is that
that's
correct?
exactly right.
Okay.
Each year it's a teacher survey, teacher working conditions.
When we look at it from elementary only, when we compare it to the rest of the state, we're kind of like in the middle, right?
The state or the
Around
nation?
50%, some down, some up.
Is it the state or the nation?
State,
The
not
state itself.
national. I'm just
Okay.
looking at state level.
Yep.
So we have some lower in the state, some higher, some even. Would you agree with me, probably our worst score along the state level is resources?
That according to teachers and what they've said to us, and I did not include resources here because I didn't have a national comparison.
Right.
But
I'm just looking at state.
for us, and I would say for most schools across the Commonwealth, resources is the lowest performing category.
All right. So when I talk to staff lately, that is a big concern of them, is resources. And we know the interventionists and ESSER funds have been going away basically, lower and lower and lower.
Yep.
So I guess my question to you, as a district, where do we go to support our elementaries to get that back up? And with SBDM topic coming up with funding and monies to the, I know some of these schools are really having to dip into the childcare that they generate to pay for people.
Yep.
So do we have a solution yet, or will we be presented with something to the board? I know it's gonna cost more, but it looked like just from what you went on the national level, our lower scores are with our elementary, and that's where it all starts.
And I think that elementaries are generally very positive places. And so, like if I think of some of the scores that our elementary students give us on culture and climate, they're in the 90th percentile. And so comparing ourselves to other elementary schools, I think we're probably above the norm, but closer to the center of the bell curve, versus some high schools where people might give really low marks, and we just happen to be exceptional in those scores. To answer your question on resources, I think that can be a moving target sometimes, because we have to be really clear with teachers and what they're defining as a resource. So in your elementary classroom, if you don't feel like you have enough books for your students to read, you're gonna say you don't have the resources that you need. Or if you don't have access to a piece of technology that you used to have, but you still want, you might say that we don't have the resource. So what I would say as a solution or a next step is elementary school by elementary school, doing an inventory of what resources teachers feel we have and what they feel like they're missing. We're also gonna have a big shift as we adopt a reading curriculum, and that is gonna shift the landscape a little bit in terms of teachers feeling in the realm of reading that they have what they need. But they might say to you, I don't have a social studies curriculum, not because we haven't purchased one, but because there isn't one to purchase. Compared to math, which I think we've done a pretty good job with, and also the work that we're gonna do with science. And up here, what I just put on the screen is that we are collecting feedback from teachers on the pilots that we're doing, and once these pilots close, I would like to share with the board what teachers said to us about our 4-5 science pilot or the different reading curriculum that we've looked at. And I think one of the questions that we could include in that is, do you feel like you will have, what are the things that you would need to feel like you had all the resources necessary for your classroom? I think for us, the key is defining what we mean when we say resource, because that can be a really big topic.
Well, I appreciate it. I look forward to the follow-up on that.
Yeah, and just for clarification, the 9-12 English curriculum is right now just at Oldham County High School. The English department at Oldham County High School is testing a resource, and we're gonna get their feedback on that pilot when it concludes.
All right, thank you, sir.
Board members, anything else?
All right.
Thank you.
Dr. Smith, thank you. And I just share with our board, I appreciate all the work that's happened with our staff, our school leaders have done in terms of looking at this feedback, collecting it, because getting feedback is not the difficult task. But doing something with the feedback, recognizing where our strengths are, our opportunities are to improve, and where our blind spots are. So I appreciate all the work our leaders do in supporting our staff, and thank you for those reports. Yeah. Next, I'd like to invite Dr. Shelton to come forward and share a treasurer's report with the board.
Good afternoon.
Welcome, Dr. Shelton.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here, especially on a beautiful day like this. So I was thinking we should have had the board meeting outside today, but you know.
Brent's gonna get us a retractable roof, he promised me.
I'll start off with, as I usually do, with report number 1 on your treasurer's report. And this, of course, is the summary of the cash accounts for all of our funds. And you can see here we are at the 7th month reporting for January. Even though it's right here at the end of February, you can see our disbursements and receipts there is listed, and our total just being under $81 million total in funds. We have the breakdown of the bonded construction funds and our investment account there following that. On Report 2, it's a little bit more detail and breaks down specifically into how the proprietary funds are listed, and also which funds are included in the governmental funds there, which of course is our general fund and our grants, and then our capital outlay, building and construction funds. Also, the second page of Report 2 breaks down it even further to show the cash breakdown in our primary, what we call our sweep account, just being under $70 million. Of course, this again, like I told you last month, is, you know, from December, January, February is the high point of our cash flows because of the tax receipts. You'll see another good month as we close out February, and then the bulk of our property tax receipts will be in, and so the numbers will start moving the other way as they always do. I want to highlight specifically on Report 3, where we do the historical actual comparison, that we're basically right on track on revenues. Of course, we budget very conservatively in our salaries and benefits, but you'll start to see that number pick up as well. As I mentioned, our general, about in the middle of the page there, you see our general property tax listed. You'll see the remainder of those receipts that should be received here in February. We've already made, as I told you last month, the transfer of all of the nickel funds into the building fund. So the rest of the receipts are all directly into the general fund. Motor vehicle tax is usually the highest point is February and March of every year. So looking forward to that, as is utility tax, because it follows the winter cycle. You have the historical actuals report and the normal balance sheet and income statement following this. I would present this to you and ask you if you have any questions on the treasurer's report.
Board members, questions? Okay, you have a recommendation, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Recommend to approve.
Recommend motion to approve made by Mrs. Clem, seconded by Mrs. Sheffer. All those in favor? And that's 5-0. Next up, we have meeting minutes, and boy, do we have meeting minutes after meeting minutes after meeting minutes. These are mostly the SBDM meeting minutes. So looking at January 22nd, anybody have any corrections to this one? Can I get a motion to approve? Made by Mr. Dodson, seconded by Mrs. Sheffer. All those in favor, and that's 5-0. Next up, we have January 25th. Those are SBDM minutes. Anybody have any corrections? Can I get a motion to approve those? Made by Mr. Dodson, seconded by Mrs. Clem. All those in favor, and that's 5-0. January 29th, also SBDM minutes. Does anybody have any changes or corrections? Motion to approve. Made by Mrs. Sheffer, seconded by Mrs. Clem. All those in favor, that's 5-0. January 31st, SBDM minutes. Any corrections or changes to those? Can I get a motion to approve? Made by Mr. Dodson, seconded by Mrs. Clem. All those in favor, and that's 5-0. February 6th, also SBDM minutes. Any changes or corrections to those? Can I get a motion to approve? Made by Mr. Dodson, seconded by Mrs. Clem. All those in favor, that's 5-0. February 8th, our final set of SBDM minutes. Any changes or corrections to those? Can I get a motion to approve? Made by Mrs. Clem, seconded by Mrs. Sheffer. All those in favor, and that's 5-0. Thank you all. All right, sir.
Yes, ma'am. In your packet, the personnel actions report is in your packet and take under advisement.
All right. And next up, consent items.
Yes, ma'am. Consent items in your packet. My recommendation is to approve as presented.
Board members, questions? Can I get a motion to approve the consent items? Made by Mr. Dodson, seconded by Mrs. Clem. All those in favor, and that's 5-0. We're rolling right through. Super reports.
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to invite Dr. Shelton and our independent auditors to come forward and share the auditor's report, and the AFR. Welcome.
I just would like to, excuse me, introduce to you Gina Jones. Gina is the shareholder of what is now LBMC, formerly known as Strothman and Company. And that's a report's been issued to Strothman because that's how they started the engagement and that's who we contracted with, but they've since merged with another firm. But as I introduce her, I specifically want to recognize Carrie Alexander, Assistant Director in our department, and the entire finance staff for doing an exceptional job working with our auditors and carrying the bulk of this. But I want to let Gina present the report to you and answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Welcome, Gina.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm assuming everybody has a copy of the electronic version of the report. You got a hard copy as well. And then the last thing I'll go over is the letter. I'll go over that at the end. So in front of you, you have the auditor's report and the basic financial statements. If you would flip to page 1, that's the independent auditor's report, past the table of contents. The first thing you'll see is the opinion, and this is an unmodified clean opinion, or the highest level of opinion that an organization can receive. Basically, it says that the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the organization as of June 30th, 2023. I'm not going to read all the words, that's just the gist of it. You will see at the bottom of that page there's a change in accounting principle. The Governmental Accounting Standards Board issued a new pronouncement, Statement 96, which is related to subscription-based information technology arrangements, similar to the lease standard that was implemented in the prior year. The next page just talks about what management's responsibilities are, the financial statements, and then below that are what our responsibilities as auditors for the financial statements are. I'll let you read that. I'm not going to go into detail. And then starting on page 4 and going through page 11, this is the MD&A, or Management's Discussion and Analysis. This is management's analysis of the activity that happened during 2023 and comparing that to 2022. This is required by the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. And it also talks about any significant changes that might have happened during the year. And I'll let you read that at your leisure. And then as we go back through here on page 12, these are the district-wide financial statements, starting with the statement of net position, where this would be what you would call the balance sheet if this is a for-profit entity. These are the statements that are on the accrual basis of accounting. They include the capital assets of the district, the pension, the OPEB liabilities, the compensated absences, and any long-term debt. I just want to highlight just a couple numbers on this statement. You'll see just about a third of the way down, total assets were $320 million compared to, and you don't see it on this statement, but it was $301 million in 2022, and that's about up $19 million, or about 6% over the prior year. Down a little bit farther, you're going to see the deferred outflows of resources, which are related to the pension and OPEB liabilities. That is up about $18 million over the prior year, and that's basically due to the accruals that we have to make, the adjustments based on the actuary reports for the year. A little bit farther down, you'll see the liabilities of $230 million, and your deferred inflows and deferred inflows of resources related to the pension and pension OPEB liabilities, and that's down about $3.7 million, and all those numbers are directly related to the actuary reports that we receive, and we adjust to what the SERS plan and the teacher retirement plan provides. And at the very bottom, you'll see the net position, or this would be the equity for a for-profit entity. It's at 104 million, and compared to 81 million in 2022. So that's up about 23.3 million, or 28.6%. And you're going to see that 23 million on the next page. The next page is the statement of activities, or the income statement. I'm not going to go into detail here because really you all operate out of your general fund, and I'm going to go over that in just a second on page 14. So on page 14, this is the balance sheet of the governmental funds. And as Tom mentioned earlier, it's the general fund, the special revenue fund, or where your grants are located, the building fund, construction fund, and then the other non-major funds has its own column. But the general fund, you're going to see total assets, 28 million, total liabilities, 4 million, and the fund balance, or the equity, is 24.6 million. And your unassigned fund balance is 23.5 million, and it was 17.3 in 2022. So that's up 6 million over the prior year. And this statement, on the governmental funds balance sheet and a statement of revenues and expenditures that starts on page 16, these are on the modified cash basis. So there's no debt, there's no long-term liabilities, and no capital assets. On page 16 is the statement of revenues and expenditures. Just want to highlight just a couple numbers here. Total revenues were 140.6 million compared to 124.7 million in 2022, so that's up almost $16 million over the prior year. And expenditures are up about 6.6 million, 136 million compared to 129 million. And then the net change in fund balance, third line from the bottom, is 6.3 million for the year. There's a few other statements here. The proprietary fund statements, I'm not going to go into detail, but that talks about the food service program and the daycare activities. And then on pages 21 and 22 is the fiduciary fund, which doesn't really have any activity. And then starting on page 23, these are the footnotes, and those go all the way through about page 60, and then starting on page 61 are the required supplementary information, which I'm not going to go into detail. I'll let you read that at your leisure. Page 79 starts the comparative or combining schedule of receipts and disbursements for the activity funds. And then on page 80 starts the Arvin Center's separate schedule, and then each of the high schools have their own schedule as well. And then the last thing that I want to bring up is on page 86, which is the schedule of expenditures of federal awards. So one of the other things that we're required to do as part of the financial statement audit is audit all the federal dollars that are spent, which is called a single audit. And we have separate reports in the back of this that refer to that single audit. So the total amount of federal awards in 2023 was almost $12 million. And we did audit, we don't look at every single program during the year. We have to pick major programs to test. But I'm happy to report that the programs that we did test, we did not have any findings, any compliance issues with those programs. So kudos to your grant group for following everything and being in compliance with the federal government, because it's not good to not be in good graces with the federal government. So on page 89, these are the special reports related to the single audit. I'm not going to go into those in detail, but it just basically says what I just reported to you. We have an unmodified opinion, and we didn't have any findings. And the major programs that we did test this year were the nutrition cluster, the Education Stabilization Funds, and the Child Care Development Grant. And you can see that on page 94 that lists those out. No findings related to the financial statement audit either. So kudos to Tom and his team for doing a great job. They were very good to work with. And then the letter that you have in front of you is just some required communication with those charged with governance. If we had any issues during the audit, we would be required to disclose those in this letter. Happy to report we didn't have any issues. If we have disagreements with management, we would have to disclose those to the board as well, and we are happy to report, though there were no such disagreements during the audit. And then if there were any findings, we would report those in this letter as well, and we did not have any. So that is my report, unless somebody has some specific questions.
Board members, any questions? Very thorough.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And Dr. Shelton, congratulations. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. And again, thank you to the team. It's an exceptional group that get to work with every day in this district, so I appreciate that opportunity. I know I kind of teased with you when I handed you your reports out up there about something you can put on your shelf and read, but I would really strongly encourage you to look at the footnotes in particular to the financial statements. Sometimes the numbers and the statements get a little overwhelming with a lot of financial statements. You know, someone like me, when you give me a spreadsheet, I actually get excited, but most people, you know, when they see numbers like that, they kind of start rolling their eyes. But I would encourage you to read those footnotes. They're very, very thorough and very revealing. It tells you a lot about our financial situation and condition. So I thank you so much to Gina and to her team as well. I just wanted to mention finally that you, as you're normally required to, approved our annual financial report, the initial unaudited report that we did in July, as is required by state law and reported to KDE. But what we do is we work through with the auditors is we look and work with the auditors to see if there are any audit adjustments that need to be posted. If so, we do post those because it's required that our annual financial report be reflective and match the audit. And so those adjustments have all been posted now, and subsequent to your approval, both the audit and the annual financial report will be submitted to KDE. But the AFR basically now mirrors the audit, and the ending balances all agree, and we'll roll over close fiscal year 23, and as we've been working in fiscal year 24 for several months now, begin working on moving into fiscal year 25. So any questions on the AFR or the audit that I can answer?
Board members? All right.
Thank you.
Dr. Shelton, thank you. Gina, thank you. Appreciate the report, and I appreciate the work by everyone.
Yeah, do you want to do a strategic plan? Because I'm guessing construction will take more than 15 minutes. Okay, we're gonna go a little bit out of order. We're gonna go to strategic plan next, and then we'll do recognitions, and then do construction report.
So next, I'd like to invite Mr. Davis to come forward and share an update on strategic plan when it comes to year one actions, and just make a highlight. Appreciate Mr. Davis and Mr. Robson being here, and I see Ms. Green is coming up as well, so thank you, and just connect with the board that this is something that the board had asked me to work on for this current school year as to things that we're doing to help ensure our students, there's different types of safety and ways we keep students safe and work together, so appreciate this report.
So the reason that Mr. Robson and Ms. Green are behind me is because this is a triangulation between multiple different departments. When we look at the use of drugs in school, you know, we have 12,000 kids, and so it takes quite a bit as we look through how we address it, both from a preventative standpoint, but also a responsive standpoint. So all three of us will be speaking throughout part of it, and then certainly at any point you can stop us to ask questions, or we can wait till the end is fine as well. Before I get into the numbers and everything, I often remind myself of this because I'm involved in it every day. You know, sometimes it can feel at times like, you know, this is happening all the time, but then I remind myself that every day we have 6,000 middle and high school students that come into our buildings. So when we're, in a minute you'll see, when we're talking about 63 offenses across 115 school days, it makes me step back and remember that that's a whole lot of opportunity every day for 6,000 kids, and we have, you know, 60-something offenses. So just wanted to put that out there, not just for you all, but for myself and for our principals to just take kudos in how well we are doing in addressing this issue. But as we get in a little bit, this is something we often will go over in the summer as well, but I want to show you a little bit about year-by-year comparison for drug and alcohol school-related offenses. If there's an asterisk by it, obviously those 2 years were pretty heavily impacted in the number of school days that students were present due to the pandemic back in the day. So you'll see, and you're gonna, Mr. Robson's gonna talk in a minute about one of the reasons why we view the numbers as increasing so much. But we made some decisions towards the end of last school year that we needed to address this in a little bit of a different way from a responsive and preventative measure, which we'll get into in some later slides. But this is really just some year-to-date totals for you. You can see that our SROs are really highly involved in this, and as the person who holds every meeting with the family after this occurs, so 63 students this year, that's 63 meetings. And one thing I want to commend the SROs on is they come to those meetings often to not just hand over paperwork on a student being charged criminally, but also to talk about how they can help that student moving forward. I thought that's a really great way that we can not just say, hey, you know, you're in trouble for this, but also how can we support you moving forward with the issue at hand. So you'll see just some numbers up there, the ECS students covered under IDEA, first-time offenses, and I want to pinpoint this a little bit because those are offenses over an entire career. So if I'm a second-time offender, I may have had one offense as an 8th grader and a second one as a senior. So those are a little bit different in how we go about. I just noticed that I updated the top of 2023, there's 63, and at the bottom it says 62. So there was one more that came in right before I sent it to you all that I didn't get in the bottom numbers. So, okay, so here's some 10-year data trends, and then I'll turn it over to Mr. Robson. You can see a little bit of the drastic increase of what we used to deal with, especially when we're looking at drugs, was likely to be actual marijuana base, and you will see 2013-14, only 1/5 or 20% of our offenses involve some type of synthetic, which are basically THC derivatives, some type of cannabis derivative, and now we're up to almost 4 out of every 5. So, you know, one of the reasons we sent out a letter not too long ago about students being taken to the hospital, a lot of the times it's because those are synthetically made, meaning that people don't know exactly what's in them, and we're seeing some issues with that. You can also see a little bit of the repeat offenders. There is some good news coming later in our slide about repeat offenders, but back in 2013 to 2015, the average was 2, and from 21 to 23, the average was 14 students who were repeat offenders throughout the school year. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Robson, and he's going to talk a little bit about some of the things we see in our community.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Hi, guys. So one of the things we've noticed, we wanted to bring to your attention is the comparative data with surrounding counties. So what we've provided for you there is a 22-23 school report card data just on drugs only. The alcohol and tobacco numbers are not included on the state reporting. So you can see there as we compare ourselves with Jefferson County as a school district, we broke those down by schools that were a little closer to us on the east side. You can see that our collective numbers as a county are very similar to individual schools in Jeff County. The further you get away from the metropolitan area, we're seeing things that you're seeing numbers that drop. So Trimble, Carroll County, their numbers are lesser. One of the reasons we feel that that's noticeable is the number of vape shops that are in those areas. If you Google map vape shops near me and expand out, you'll see there's a greater concentration in Louisville, and it gets thinner the further you go out. So we have 8 or 9 in the county, and that doesn't include the gas stations that are selling vapes. But as you can see, there are numbers probably are favorable compared to surrounding counties that are similar in size to us. These are some of the smoke shops and vape shops that we have here in the county. In 2018, 2019, the law changed to where you can now include Delta 9 THC at a 0.3 level below. The information we're getting is that some of the stores are selling higher than that. It's just such a hard thing to keep a track of. There's so many products out there that the agencies involved in testing those just can't keep up with the amount of products. So anything 0.3 THC is going to show up in our drug testing that we do as a school district. So these products are available in our county, LaGrange, Crestwood, and there's one out in Goshen area that the kids can get at actual CBD shops. I'm sure you've been in every gas station around, and you can see the displays. This is a display from one of the vape shops. I believe this is one of Crestwood, but that D9 synthetic syrup, that is straight up a THC product. So while Delta 8 products are not, Delta 9 are THC, and that's where we're seeing kids, getting their hands on these products and being able to use them. The other thing that we've noticed that they're marketed to kids, and we have to assume they're being sold to kids in some way. They're also pretty well concealed. Our APs do an incredible job of catching up with some of these things. I guess as a principal, I didn't see it too much, but the watch there that's a concealed vape is one that we've had in the school district. You can see the backpack drawstring, or the hoodie drawstring, and then obviously those items there, they're straight up aimed at kids. They look like candy. They're designed to draw kids in. So also makes it incredibly hard for parents to be involved and at least know what's going on. And I think that's where we can get our biggest bang for our buck, is increasing awareness across the district. Our parents need to know what to look for. Our teachers need to know what to look for. And our APs and counselors do. And Ms. Green's going to talk about that a little bit right now.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So our counselors really take the lead on the proactive measures that we take to try to help with this. So during the 2022-23 school year, we were able as a district to purchase parent handbooks to support students who were making the transition from elementary to middle school and from middle school to high school. So those were given to their families. Additionally, with Operation Parent, counselors are able to communicate information to the parents about free webinars, and they do that through our newsletters. And I just listed there, we've listed a couple that are upcoming. These are really powerful opportunities. Operation Parent also provides schools with posters that they're able to hang that have QR codes where parents, when they come in the building, can directly access their website so that they can join mailing lists so that they know when new webinars are released. Operation Parent comes and talks with our counselors periodically to get information from them on what are trends that you're seeing that you would like for us to create webinars based on. And it, of course, is a national organization, and so they have a far reach, but it is locally, it's local. So it's nice because we have access to all of that support from them. And Mr. Davis and Mr. Robson and I have been talking with them about additional collaboration efforts that we can take. Red Ribbon Week is also a time that we can help students with drug prevention efforts. So many of our schools have school-based assemblies. They have activities, they have guest speakers on drug prevention. So that's something that each year, that's an annual event that's specifically dedicated to that topic. School-based programming. So our district often partners with the Oldham County Health Department, and one service that they offer is educating on the effects of vaping. So many of our high schools, or some of our high schools, take advantage of that and have some presentations on it. Another high school, they were recently talking about offering some parent groups on vaping. And according to Operation Parent, based on the attendance that they're seeing in their webinars, parents are really wanting more information on vaping, and they're wanting information on mental health. So our school psychologists, our school counselors, and our mental health consultants are very interested in trying to follow up on that data and provide a district-wide opportunity for our families with students transitioning this spring. So we're continuing to discuss what can we do to support our students better in this area, but our school counselors work very hard to try to provide opportunities within the school and partner with local organizations.
All right, so at the end of last year, you may recall when I brought to you all some changes that we wanted to make in our Renaissance program and sent that out to parents and families. So kind of highlighting the changes that we made was increasing the time at Buckner that a student spends after a drug or alcohol offense from 1 to 9 days. And the purpose of that was not just to add time, but was to, we worked with the health department to come up with some drug curriculum that students have to complete and participate in prior to their return to their traditional setting. We also partner with Peace Hospital, so pretty much on a daily basis we have an assessor from Peace Hospital at Buckner who comes to do chemical dependency assessments with each student and coordinates with their family to make recommendations on therapy and treatment that a student may need for drug and alcohol type of situations in their family or just with them individually. I told you earlier a little bit about repeat offenders, and one thing I am positive, I think is positive and shows that the change we made is at least having some positive impact, is that in 21-22 we had 16 same year offenders, meaning they offended at some point in 21-22, they went through the Renaissance 1 program, and then they offended again in that same year. 2022-2023 we had 12 of those students, and since the changes that we made this year, we have had 0. So we have not had a single student who has gone through Renaissance this year, completed their 9 days, and then turned around and offended again. So while we certainly are going to continue to work on this and try to educate kids and just have conversations with them and their families, I am pleased with the fact that as of 2/19, as of today actually, we have not had any students complete the program and then turn around to reoffend. So I'm pleased with that, and kudos to, I want to say to the administrators, they do a great job now with our vape sensors. They go off a lot, and the administrators do a great job of getting in and talking with students and finding these things and trying to keep them out of the school building. Kudos to the SROs, to Beth Carter and her staff for working with us on serving these kids who need the help in these situations. So Mark and Jacqueline and I are happy to answer any questions that you may have, and appreciate your all's partnership with us as we work to get this out of school.
Board members?
How often have they gone off? Like
Our vape
hundreds?
sensors, every day.
So we're only catching.
That's tobacco also.
60
That's tobacco also.
Oh, that's tobacco.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Any luck on getting more Narcan in
I've
our
got
high
it.
schools?
Yes, sir. It is. We have worked with the health department and Lisa Burgess, and we will have many more coming into us that we can distribute to the schools.
Will you tell Lisa thank you?
Yes, I will.
And I appreciate it too.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Board members, other questions?
Eric, do you know where we were this time last year compared to, we're 63 now, do you know what we were?
Yeah, so we had a very large number in January and February of last year, so we were in the low 80s. So it is better this year. Even though we've had a number of vape shops pop up, and in conversations with kids, I think it's important for all of us, parents, myself being a parent too, students are getting them at vape shops as 15, 16-year-olds. So that's important to know. It's not just things that they're getting off the street. They're buying them illegally, but buying them in shops around the county. So.
Do you happen to know some of these counties that have some of the lower numbers? Do they have the vape sensors in the schools, or? Do you
So
know?
I don't know about vape sensors, but Mr. Robson and I did look at some of the surrounding counties, and they, if you Google search and look where's their nearest vape shops, they are nowhere to be found in their counties. So it's also a prevalence of the ability to easily get them. And as I don't remember if it was presented or not, but Mr. Robson and I also looked to see about when these vape shops came around, and it coincides pretty well with our drastic number of increase in synthetic use of drugs.
You don't know if any of the agencies, back when my son was in high school, he worked with an agency that took him to different places to try to buy things like cigarettes and whatever. And they find the stores or closed them or what have you. You don't know if there's any agencies doing that now?
I don't. I know some of the police department out here has done some of that with, I think it's ABC or something like that. Mr. Dennis, I know he knows of that too, but I don't know if it's a continual thing that they do or not. But it would behoove us, I think, to maybe check into that.
The best thing you can do, Mr. Dotson, talk to the county and the city. They could put ordinances in, so many feet from a school. I already talked to the LaGrange council members, some of them, and some of the Oldham County. They could very easily put that in and restrict at least the distance to a school. They're all going to be weed shops here shortly. That's why they're doing it, so.
Plus, some of those other school districts have significantly smaller populations
Yes.
overall than we do.
Yeah, we didn't look at it proportionally. You know, Henry County has about the same number of students as we have at Oldham County High School. So, yeah, that's a very fair point.
Jacqueline, do you know how those webinars, how it's being communicated, how you can get access to those webinars?
Yes, so the counselors are putting that in their school newsletters.
Okay.
And they said, you know, they're going to make sure that that's even more intentional, but they are shooting those out in newsletters monthly.
Okay,
or
awesome.
weekly.
Thank you.
I would continue to harp on, I think we need to get in the classrooms more often in elementary and middle schools and start talking about this more, because as I said before, you know, a lot of us, depending on when you were born, grew up with commercials constantly about it, and kids don't have commercials anymore. They don't have to watch TV with commercials on the 3 channels that are available. And you don't see very many TikToks about, here's my kid on a ventilator because they vaped. And I really think we need to get more to the tactics of, here's the downside of it. And I would just love nothing more for my kid to come home and be like, oh, if I have to hear one more time about how crappy vaping is, I would applaud that and would love to hear that. And I just think we need to get more in front of our kids on this topic for sure. Thank you all for your work on it. I really appreciate it. And Eric, I appreciate all the numbers and reports on this. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna do student recognitions.
Yeah.
Next, please. Yeah. Larry, do you wanna do it or do you? I don't care either. I don't care either.
All right, good evening, everyone. It's great to see have our see our students and families and friends and everyone here this evening. Some student recognitions for this evening. First, I need to say that we have a lot of students that we excited about recognizing, and we have some very beautiful names. I have worked hard on to try to be prepared for that, so if I do not pronounce names correctly, parents and family members and students, I apologize up front, but I will give my best shot. Consider. So we want to consider recognizing, or we want to recognize these following students. So I have some information to share with you. When it comes to music education, few accomplishments rival the prestige of being selected for the KMEA All-State Band and KMEA All-State Choir. These elite ensembles represent the best of the state. Auditions for these ensembles test technical skill as well as musical artistry. Each candidate is reviewed by a panel of judges who assess their technical proficiency, tone, quality, dynamics, musicality, and overall performance. Instrumentalists must show mastery of their chosen instrument, and vocalists must show exceptional vocal range, control, interpretive skills, and emotional depth. Man, I wish I could sing like that. This month, these exceptional students performed at the 2024 KMEA Conference with their respective all-state bands and choirs. During this time, they worked with professionals and high-achieving musicians from across the state, providing an opportunity to strengthen their craft and broaden their skills and experience. 20 students from Oldham County Schools were selected to perform in all-state bands, and 32 students were selected for all-state choir. As we celebrate the achievements of the students selected for all-state band and all-state choir, we are reminded of the boundless potential that exists within each student. Okay, first, I want to recognize our KMEA All-State Band. First, from South Oldham High School, Noah Kevorkian, All-State Percussion Ensemble. Sullivan Tucker, All-State Concert Band. And when I call your name, please come forward. Amelia Vanderpool, All-State Concert Band. From North Oldham High School, Piper Davino, All-State Concert Band. Wilbur Farr, All-State Concert Band. Chris Hong, please stay up and we'll get a quick picture. Thank you, I'm sorry. Chris Hong, All-State Concert Band. Lisa Sofia Kakalova, All-State Concert Band. Allison Karagiannis, All-State Concert Band. Joe Mayako, All-State Orchestra. Garrett Van Apron, All-State Jazz. Connie Zhang, All-State Orchestra. From Oldham County High School, Ella Diamond, All-State Concert Band. Crane Gardner, All-State Symphonic Band. Carson Gibolowski, All-State Orchestra. Reagan Lathrop, All-State Concert Band. Roy McIntyre, All-State Orchestra. Caitlin Osorio, All-State Concert Band. Nevaeh Richardson, All-State Concert Band. Trent Schmidt, All-State Symphonic Band. Nick Turner, All-State Jazz Band. And from Kappa, Samuel Estrada, All-State Orchestra. Jack Hepperman, All-State Orchestra. And Paris Say, All-State Orchestra. Please help me give these students one more big round of applause. Congratulations. Okay, next we want to recognize our KMEA All-State Choir from South Oldham High School, Andrew Bednar, Caroline Bednar, Catherine Bednar, Bethany Chapman, and as you come forward, we have a certificate for you, and we'll get a quick photo. Melanie Donnelly, Hannah Legg, Austin Moorman, Logan Myers, Rachel Partington, Cassidy Stocker, Nick Sassy, C.T. Tucker, Gabriella Watkins. Because we have such a large group, we'll get a photo of this group from that represents South Oldham High School, and I'll read off the names for the next school. So, quick photo. You want to back up just a little bit? Yeah, probably just play on your screen, maybe the perfect. Thank you all very much. Congratulations to the school. Next, from North Oldham High School, the choir director let us know that the students that we want to recognize were unable to attend, but I do believe that Mr. Smith, Tyler Smith, is here from North Oldham High School. And Mr. Smith, let's give you a round of applause. Thank you, sir, for all that you do for our students at North, and thank you to our band and choir directors at South and at OC. Next, I want to recognize Oldham County High School, and again, this is for KMEA All-State Choir. And as I read your name, please come forward, and we want to recognize you and get a quick photo. Joshua Acree and Lucia Barroso, Mary Kate Bentley, Wyatt Bodenheimer, Sophia Brown, Riley Brown, Jeet Chauhan, Wyatt Durbin, Lola Gerlach, Avery Holmes, Ava Lindeman, Evelyn Powers, Gabrielle Quinones, Bryce Thornton, Katie Young, Claire Ziegler. Okay, get a quick photo. Congratulations, great job. Thank you. Let's give them one more big round of applause. And I do need to apologize. I should have read the North Oldham High School students, and let me recognize these students even though they're unable to attend. Katie Baer, Mara Passmore, and Kate Baratsky. Those students were recognized at North Oldham High School for All-State Choir. Please give them a big round of applause. If you'll indulge me for one more moment, I'd like to just extend another big thank you to our professional educators who work with these students every day at all three high schools and at Kappa and across our district for what you do for our students. And again, students, congratulations. We're very proud of you. And please help me give them one more round of applause, everyone.
Okay, next up, we're going to do the student showcase, and tonight it's the Arvin Center. Okay.
Great. Will you take one of those and pass it down? They're not all for you now, Joe. You don't get all of them.
Thank you.
You have to blow a bubble the whole time I'm talking.
Thanks.
One question. No questions. Chew gum.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Take one and pass it down. That is awesome.
You guys ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. My staff knows, and most of you know, that I am fairly long-winded, so I have been told to write my script, and I'm going to try to spend less than 2 minutes and set this up for these wonderful young people here with us today. So they're a little nervous, and I have told them that you guys are an easy bunch to talk to. I said the majority of the crowd is going to be behind you, so they just have to focus on you. And I said, if you want to get real comfortable, just read your script. So I'm going to do the same thing so I can model that for them, but just to help them relax. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you to the Arvin Center. We are excited to share some quick snippets of how your extra efforts are leading to students having extra educational opportunities. The board's support of Arvin and our programs have proven to be extra. By definition, you have chosen to give our students the opportunity to have excessive or extravagant opportunities beyond the state requirements. You have added to the existing or usual amount of educational experiences these students have as choices. Arvin believes that the extra efforts lead to the world-class distinction that we strive for in this district. On behalf of over 1,100 students currently at Arvin and over 200 additional student applications we have already received for 24-25 school year, Arvin can potentially serve over 1,350 students next year. We thank you and appreciate the work you do for our school community to continue these programs and are hopeful of continued growth in the future. Today, you will hear from a number of students ranging from 9th grade through 12th. They will be sharing with you in a very short statement how they have had extra opportunities because of Arvin. Extra as a noun is an item in addition to what is usual or strictly necessary. When used in a sentence, one might say, and this is actually what the internet says, I didn't make this sentence up, I had an education with all the extras. Before we have our students talk briefly, would you please join me in thanking and celebrating National CTE Month by recognizing our staff at the Arvin Center who is here this evening. Without further delay, here are some representatives of the extra Arvin students have been a part of.
Good evening, Board of Education. Hi, my name is McKenna Elizabeth Hayden, and I am a super senior at the Arvin Center, and I am a student of the Young Adult Transition Program. I am 21 years old, and this is my last semester at YATP. This YATP has taught me lots of new skills and is helping me get ready for life as an adult. One of the jobs I do for YATP is working at a daycare called a Kids Haven. While I'm working there, I play with kids, I read them books, and I help them with their lunches. This job has had a large impact on me, and I am gaining some great experience in childcare. I really love working with kids, and I really love this job. I have confidence that I'm a great worker when I go to Kids Haven each week. At the YATP, we also have a few other job sites that students go to each week. Some of these jobs include cleaning and restocking at Red Pepper Deli, sorting and organizing at Goodwill, landscaping at Udell, and hanging and organizing at Rainy Day Resale. We also work with Blessings in a Backpack and Meals on Wheels each week, delivering food to those who need it. I think the YATP program is a great place for students to come to Arvin and learn about life as an adult after school. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Connor DeLuca. I'm a senior at OCHS. I've been in the computer science program here at Arvin for all 4 years now. So how has the Arvin Center been extra for me? It's given me numerous opportunities to take classes specific to my chosen field. I've been in the computer science program for 4 years, and if I hadn't attended the Arvin Center, I would have no experience with computer science and would still be unsure if it was the right career path for me. I'll start college further ahead because of the Arvin Center's offerings of AP and dual credit courses that would not have been otherwise available to me. It's also allowed me to participate in academically enriching activities that have given me real-world experience. For example, last year I went to a competition at U of L by the Technology Student Association where I competed against other students to solve programming problems. I'll be attending this competition again this year as it allows me to practice and implement the skills I've learned at the Arvin Center. Currently in computer science, I've been working on a capstone project, which is an app that predicts future stock prices. With these opportunities given by the Arvin Center, I've discovered my chosen career path and become better prepared for college and my future in the computer science field. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Callie Ricketts. I'm a senior at Oldham County High School, and this is my second year at the automotive program at Arvin. How Arvin has been extra for me is it has allowed me to broaden my horizons in the automotive field and also let me be more confident in my abilities, and has allowed me to pursue something I've been passionate in since I was very young. Started with me just working with my dad in his garage, just learning how to do random stuff, to now being more passionate about it and learning how to do more. And I was also accepted into the University of Northwestern Ohio for their High Performance Automotive Technologies program that will be attending this fall.
Hello, my name is Emily Jones, and I'm a senior at South Oldham High School. Me and my partner are currently in the 4th year of engineering offered at the Arvin Center. It's capstone engineering that provides numerous opportunities that aren't offered at our home school. By taking capstone engineering, we get automatic credit hours at the University of Kentucky, and taking advantage of these credit hours can save thousands of dollars for students seeking an engineering degree. Another element of capstone is the guidance towards preparation for interviews, job applications, and internships embedded in the curriculum. These are important life skills that we wouldn't otherwise have learned at our high school, and since drafting resumes and completing mock interviews, we and our peers feel much more confident approaching our futures after graduation. Another opportunity provided by Capstone Engineering is our partnership with Real World Engineers, who set aside time to conference with us to help us achieve our end-of-the-year project goals. Their degrees and job experience are beyond helpful when we face challenges in our projects.
Hello, I'm Dalton Bottoms. I'm also in the Capstone Engineering program. I'm also a senior from South Oldham High School. Going off of what Emily was talking about was our projects. In Capstone, each group is challenged to solve real-world problems using code, electronics, and by creating a prototype. Emily and I are partners, and we're going into the prototype phase. Our project idea is to create a device that automatically fills insulin syringes to help the elderly or people with difficulties such as poor eyesight and shaky hands. Our goal for this project is to make it portable, user-friendly, and affordable. At the end of the year, after we've finished our projects, the students and other groups will get to present their projects to professors and other teachers at the University of Kentucky. So.
Hi, my name is Madison Alford. I'm currently in aerospace engineering. I'm from OC High School. And I would like to preface this with Arvin is an amazing place. The engineering teachers, Mr. Folks and Miss Campbell, never make you feel like you don't belong. If you're willing to learn, they would spend so much time re-explaining the same concepts to you. Another way Arvin has gone above and beyond is SWE, Society of Women in Engineering. Some girls think of engineering as daunting, and I sure did. I had no idea what Arvin was, but I decided to take a chance. My main worry was that I wouldn't be able to keep up with the people who are basically designing tomorrow. But being part of SWE and seeing the strong, independent women in the field has built my confidence in myself and strengthened my leadership and collaboration skills. I felt like my voice had really made a difference. This has been so beneficial to me and will sure to be able to help me when I enter college for a degree in engineering.
Hi, my name is Addison, and I am part of the engineering program, specifically SWE, and I go to South Oldham High School. SWE has helped me make many connections with the real world. We went to a SWE convention at the University of Kentucky. There, I met Miss Diana Mitchin. She's a project manager at Burgrass and Kneippel. I shadowed her for a day, and I was able to see what a casual day looks like for an engineer. Miss Diana showed me different transportation drawings and what someone would do if a specific area of traffic has collision issues. This was a great way for me to get real-world experience. In order to promote SWE, we started a student-led social media page. As SWE attends more events and hosts more, the social media page will constantly be updated. Having a student-led page gives us the opportunity to promote engineering and have pride in being a female engineer. Thank you.
I'm Rachel Partington, and I am a senior at South, and I'm also part of the engineering capstone course. And as a member of the Society of Women Engineers, I've had the opportunity to visit at each middle school in Oldham County. And at each middle school, we've met with 8th grade girls. And we've been able to build this sort of robot with them and lead them through the design process. And we've been able to show them that they're also capable of engineering and solving problems. And I know that at a young age, I was really excited to engineer, and I'm really happy to be able to share that with younger girls and show them what they're able to accomplish. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Miles Essen Price. I take the culinary program here at Arvin, and I'm from Oldham County High School. Now, I won't lie, I took this culinary program because at first I didn't feel like taking physics my junior year. It sounded like fun, I always had an interest in food, and it offered me an opportunity to cook with the highly esteemed culinary minds here at Arvin. However, I soon learned it was so much more than that. The culinary program has offered me a chance to be a professional and work in a professional environment. It even offered me an opportunity to work at Taste of Thai, a restaurant at Crestwood. And I'm sure I'll carry these skills I learned about being professional in a professional environment for the rest of my career. My plan following graduation is to attend college for marketing with a minor in sports administration, with future hopes of marketing for a sports organization. And now during my education here, I have learned that the old adage, the way to any person's heart is through food, is very true. And I intend to take what I've learned here about food and people's hearts through the rest of my career. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Haley Larson, and I'm a junior at South Oldham High School. I'm in my 3rd year of the dual credit business program through U of L, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about my experience. After living overseas for most of my childhood, I moved to Kentucky at the end of 8th grade. I was kind of thrown into finishing middle school here, and I was just trying to pick my schedule for freshman year. I chose all the core classes I needed, and then something caught my eye, the Arvin Center, specifically the business program. When I signed up, I had no idea what I was really getting into. I come to know the excitement of leaving my home school, South Oldham, every day, meeting my favorite teacher, Mr. Morgan, who I've been able to have all of high school, and the confidence to speak my mind. The business program has given me essential skills that people need every day: financial literacy, budgeting, stocks, leadership, working with a team, and so on. The business program has helped me to be confident to start my own small business on Poshmark. Utilizing marketing and advertising skills, I was able to get 8,000 followers and finalize my first sale within 1 week. I've also been able to advocate myself when communicating with my college professors, and Arvin has just created excitement around all of my future endeavors. Notably, the freshman leadership class included a service learning project that showed me the value of community, compassionate service, and being a part of something bigger than myself. The dual credit communications class that I took last semester helped me gain confidence when presenting. And the U of L tour at the College of Business that we took last month has affirmed my interest in continuing my education at the collegiate level. Arvin has helped me to find that path by growing my love of learning even more. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Addie Husband. I'm a senior at Oldham County High School, and this is also my 4th year in the biomed program at Arvin. As soon as I walked into the biomed classrooms at Arvin as a freshman, I knew I had encountered something special. And now that I'm a senior and have 4 years under my belt, I can say that special doesn't even begin to describe the biomed program at Arvin. The classes which I've taken in the biomed pathway have exposed me to topics and concepts that most students don't get to experience until their first year of medical school. The most unique opportunity that the Arvin Biomedical Program has to offer is the University of Louisville internship. Not only have I gotten to apply the knowledge which I have obtained since freshman year to unique research-based projects while inside the Arvin classroom, but I have also gone to talk to cancer patients while they receive their treatment, set in on an ankle surgery, and seen the treatment of severe burns in the burn unit, to name a few highlights. The experiences, knowledge, and skills which I have obtained through the biomed program are not only unique, but are also invaluable due to the impact they will have on my future career in medicine. After graduation, I plan to attend Murray State University to major in nursing. My end goal is to become a nurse practitioner, either in family care, pediatrics, or the neonatal intensive care unit. I have always known that I wanted to go into the medical field, but Arvin exposed me to careers, labs, and experiences which allowed me to realize where my passions lie, and I'm so grateful for that. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Maddie Manarelli. I'm a senior at North Oldham High School, and I have also been a part of the biomed program for 4 years. From a young age, I've always been super interested in medicine and healthcare, and when I saw that Arvin had a biomed pathway, it was immediately something that I knew I wanted to pursue. My biomed classes were always something that I looked forward to and got excited about every single day. And the teachers and admin at Arvin not only care about you as a student, but also as a person. They want you to succeed, and they want you to set up your career in the best way that you can. And they've provided me with 2 amazing internships, one at Norton Healthcare and one at U of L Health. These internships have allowed me to see so many things that I probably would not have gotten to see until nursing school. I've seen C-sections, gunshot wounds, neurosurgeries, and so much more. And I've also gotten to stand beside healthcare professionals, learn and be supported by them, especially when witnessing difficult situations. A few weeks ago, I went up to Mr. Watkins and the lady in charge of us at U of L and mentioned that trauma was something I was super interested in, that if I could be in trauma on a Friday night, it just sounded like something that I wanted to do. And so we worked out the details, and the next week I was in Trauma on a Friday night, and since then I've done that twice, and it's been a really cool experience. Arvin has truly been such a blessing and first steps into my nursing career, and I am so lucky to call myself an Arvin student for the past 4 years. Thank you.
My name is Cassidy Stalker, and I am a freshman at South Oldham High School, and I am in the biomedical science pathway. Arvin has basically started kicking off my medical knowledge. I have always known that I have wanted to go into the medical field, but that was intensified when I was diagnosed with cancer in 2020. And Arvin has just offered so many opportunities to learn more about diseases, about HIPAA, about how doctors treat their patients, that it is just really solidified that I for sure want to go into the medical field. I want to deal with medicine for my life. And AP Bio, which I am in right now, has taught me study skills that I would not learn if I was at my home school, because we can only go every other day. And so we have to learn how to manage our time well. We have to learn how to be able to look things up and learn things ourselves. It has started preparing me for college in a way that I never thought the Arvin Center would. From when I was little, I've always known that I've wanted to be a veterinarian. And even though coming to Arvin, it's more about the human body, I've been able to join HOSA here at Arvin, which does have a veterinary science portion to it, where I've been able to learn more about animals and their diseases along with humans. And all of this has really just completely helped me make sure that I want to be a part of the medical field, and I'm so excited for 3 more years at Arvin. Thank you.
I think that was 16 minutes. That's our 16 minutes. We were less than 20, and somebody else still holds the record for longest student showcase. We won't name any names. So we'll take questions if you have any.
Board members, any questions?
It's amazing.
Student design stickers for SWE.
Those are some SWE design stickers by the students.
What's the SWE social media account did you start for the students?
SWE_Oldham County. I believe. I don't think the I believe is part of the actual handle. Hashtag Matt Watkins doesn't know. SWE_Oldham County. We good?
Man, one thing I'd like to say, with the Arvin Center, it gives kids an opportunity they never had. I wish I'd had this opportunity when I was in school, and I'm sure a lot of y'all do. And what you're showing us tonight is what it means to the kids. And that's why we got away from the state funding to put our money into it so the kids can have what they need.
Absolutely.
Matt, I've known you a very long time, very, very long time, and I just appreciate so much your enthusiasm and tenacity in polling students, asking what they want, and then finding a way to get it here. You never give up. You always want students to feel included, and you want to make sure that the programs that you're offering here are what students are asking for today and not what they wanted 10 years ago. And as a board chair and as a parent, my freshman is at Arvin Center. She loves it. She gets in my car every day and talks about what's happening here in class. And obviously with these students here today, you're doing great things in this building. And I can't thank you enough for spearheading the Arvin Center, and you just knock it out of the park, Matt, and we appreciate it very much.
Yep. Student showcase, let's go. Good?
That was amazing.
All right,
Yes,
thank you all.
Thank you. So good.
We're gonna take a quick 5-minute break and be right back.
That's okay.
I'm trying to like order a pizza for the kids. Yeah, and then my sitter's like, Miller hasn't come home, and I'm like, great. Where is he?
Okay, get up here. No. No, get up here.
Sure. Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Oh, wow.
They generally go OCATs, and we're short on OCAT spots right now.
Okay.
Or they get in-school suspension, something like that, so.
She's gonna be in the.
No, there are consequences for it. It's just-
Oh, cool.
It's just, there are a lot more of them than us, and if we're not physically in there, it becomes pretty difficult.
No, we're just waiting on you, Craig. That's okay.
And she's gonna.
That's awesome.
Induction, Hudson.
Oh my gosh, so cool. That's amazing.
Well, she looks good.
Oh yeah.
It's there. Last time she was.
So hard to see. Sounds like she's doing really well.
She is.
Okay.
They roll.
Okay, we're back.
Construction.
Kids, kids, sit down. We're starting back. Thank you. Sir?
Yes, ma'am. So next I'd like to invite Mr. Bohannon to come forward and give the board an update on construction and facilities. And I do believe our friends from Element are here as well, and will be joining him or presenting also. Thank you.
Thank you all. As Superintendent said, we have our construction report included in your board package. I'd like to go ahead and introduce Liz Piper from Element Design to give us an update on the progress with the district-wide landscaping and site improvement project.
Welcome back.
Thank you for having me back. And I will. So tonight, I just want to give you a pretty quick update on progress since we last talked to you and where we're going next. So just as a reminder, sort of the overview of the whole project, when we last talked to you, we were in the meat of the assessment, and we are now wrapping that up and have moved into the next phase of starting to develop some recommendations. So that is the step we're at the moment. And just sort of details of what that looks like. We are drafting the assessment portion of the report, and I'll show you some examples of what that sort of format's going to look like, but it's really just, you know, a summary of what we've done and explanation so that in the future you can look back and say, okay, this is why we did this and this is why we thought that, and you just have that record of it, and that's really what that is. So we are working through that draft of that portion of the report. And then we moved into sort of developing sort of lists of projects and looking at an overview for the district-wide focus at this point of where we need to start looking at developing those more site-specific projects as we move forward, where things start to become real and we start to actually see things that can be done, you know, on the ground and see those projects. So that is where we are right now. And just as sort of an overview of what that report is going to look like, these are just images of some of the pages in the draft that we're working through. I'm not going to go into anything in detail, but just to give you sort of an idea of the format, what we're looking at and working on to give you as a record of this whole process that we've gone through. And, you know, it will chronicle sort of our methodology, what we did, the tools we went through, as well as findings on the district-wide as well as site-by-site basis. We're going to highlight some key findings that might differ per site, then as the sort of district overview recommendations. And so that process, again, we've done all our on-site and we put the data in and we've done some assessments. And before I get into any of that stuff, I just wanted to take a minute to say, district-wide, Oldham County Schools has done a really good job. Things are in good shape.